Hey guys, just wanted to take a second to make a quick video, test out some settings, and hopefully um, reiterate some of the stuff that we missed out on getting to have with the other video not uploading. So in this video, I wanted to go over one of the largest concepts from the scrims that I think is really important to strengthen ourselves as a team. I'm going to show two examples this game of how we utilized our Baron, and then I'm going to close the client and I'm going to show you guys what T1 SKT does to utilize their Baron, and we're going to kind of compare the differences here. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started, make sure everything works on my end. So we'll start out here. This is our first Baron of the game. And we take the Baron. They end up walking into contest. This is fine. And we play out. This is good. We want to make sure that we have our Baron buffs to use later. We end up getting caught kind of on the back end. We can go a little further to make sure our bases are safer here. But overall, not too much ends up happening. This is okay. Let me go ahead and edit the sound setting so it's not as loud here. No. Let me do 10. Okay, we'll do 8. Gotta keep it even number. And so what we can see here, though, is because our timers got offset here and Xayah stayed on the map, now we don't necessarily have somebody to push mid. We only have Rel here. We have Corki go, bot, and I assume we're waiting for item and base, but we'll kind of look at how this plays, because we only get Baron for a short amount of time. You can see we're still waiting on somebody to come pick up this wave. Xayah ends up backing after having stayed, and ends up delaying us maybe 30 seconds or so before we get onto this mid wave. See, as Rel kind of pushes it herself because we need this mid wave pressure. The next thing here is Corki ends up taking it back. Now this is somewhat okay because we have teleport. But as the team's starting to get in position here, I'll draw it on the minimap actually, here and here to apply pressure, what happens when we back here is the people that are on this side of the map are no longer obligated to stop your push, and they can go contest these pushes now. And we've lost pressure with our Baron. So what would have been better in this situation, even if we have an item, we kind of need to stay here, or we want to be mid to siege with them. We've talked about how I like 4-1 a little bit more, but 1-3-1 can work if you're super far ahead or confident in the way that you can play it. The biggest thing here is just that our reset actually affords the enemy team time to contest our Baron push. Because as you can see, we don't feel safe walking up right here. So we clear the wave, and we back off. And then this is another little waste of our timers here. We take camps, blah blah blah. Everyone goes back to their wave, but then Xayah starts clearing jungle camps. And so this is just another 30-second or so delay, but we're gonna be able to push the waves, right? We're fine with pushing the waves. We don't actually get to play on them. We can see we still have Camille all the way up here. We still have Xayah clearing camps, and so they're allowed to contest this wave now, and we're not using our Baron timer to actually push onto these structures, which is what it's used for. It doesn't really give you any crazy stats. It does give you nice experience and gold, but the biggest thing we want to be doing with Baron is pressuring structures, and then we can go back and take our camps after. So just to show here, that was maybe about 3 or so things that cost us, I want to say, 20 to 30 seconds, which don't seem much at the time when you're in game. You're like, oh, just let me do this, let me do this. But that ends up being about a minute and a half of our Baron buff. Let's take a look at the next Baron that we take. I believe Camille dies bot lane, which is good. They end up sending... They burn a TP and send 4 people, and so it's really, really good that we recognize to do this Baron. Echo ints, and we take the Baron. Here's what I'm going to show you in a future video. or not future video, but what T1 does. We kind of have two options here when we take Baron. And option one is just going to be everybody reset. The reason we want everybody to reset is because then we can get back on the map at all the same timers. And when we're back on the map on the same timers, it's a lot easier to coordinate those pushes that are actually going to get structures. The other thing that we can do is we can stay on the map. And the biggest reason we would stay on the map is if we don't have major item completions, or we don't have any reason to spend our gold and we're all pretty healthy, which it looks like we are here, we can actually begin to abuse these timers and push now. We can see Echo's dead for 50 seconds, Kai'Sa's dead for 30 seconds. We should be able to, as 4, even though Camille is dead, we should be able to force this turret down quite easily if we stay grouped as 4. I don't think Janna Vygar can stop the 4 of us from forcing it down. And even if Garen starts pushing, we can have one person back with Baron recall to answer him. And now it's still 3v2 over here, as long as we don't overstay our timer. And so your two options, again, just to have them written down, are 1, reset as 5, or stay. Whichever option we pick, though, we need to do as 5 people most of the time. I would say like 90% of the time. And so let's kind of look at how we use our timers here. We can see that we have 2 people reset. Rel doesn't actually reset. So we end up playing the wave with only 2 people, which Janna and Vygar can match. To some extent. We do end up getting this turret. I speed it up a little bit. So we get this turret, but we don't feel safe anymore because we only have 2 people. Garen's on a flank, and we have our other 2 members clearing waves. And so this is why we would like to reset on the same timer. If I were to draw a line across where our members are, here on the minimap, and then I draw a line through the middle of the map, these 2 are not safe. That's kind of a rule of thumb. It'll look a lot nicer when I show T1's video. But the big thing here is typically what you want is a line of pressure. So if Corki is here and Zyra is here, our bot lane should be here. This is going to mean that everybody's safe, and if somebody dies, we can probably get something for it. So a big example is, I'll show later in the T1 video, if you have pressure here, and pressure here, this is when 131 can work well, because now we have a nice line, and if they were to come and kill, say, bot lane, we actually are in a position to push onto the other 2 things if that member is to die. So here, bot lane doesn't feel safe because we're kind of breaking that rule. Ends up forcing Corki TP because we're scared that we're getting collapsed on, and Corki dies for this. Not much he can do. Vygar, or he doesn't die for it, I guess. We are just better than them. He should die for this, but we're better than him. We get a kill. Nice. Well played. But what's still tough is Corki still needs to get his reset now. So we're only going to be able to play with 4 people on the map. I'll speed it up a little bit here to see. This is going to waste about 20 seconds of our timer. You can see they end up getting mid pressure. We recognize, hey, what the heck? We don't want to let them have this pressure. We push up, but we don't necessarily have the ability to snap engage on these guys. Here's really good. We're fighting this guy. We know we win. This guy kind of gets destroyed, burns his flash. And so what I would like to see here, right? This guy now has no ult. He has no flash, and Vygar is dead. Now is the time to use our pressure. As Camille's about to, I'm going to draw on the minimap. She's about to push this wave, and Echo can no longer stop her. We just watched how this fight went. That guy was getting destroyed, and the Camille here is able to push this, or somebody else has to match. We can see Garen backing to start. But what we end up doing, actually, is we end up trying to answer Garen. Let me say what we should do is we should be pushing down mid as 4. We need to start using the pressure that Camille's about to create to pressure mid and once again push on these turrets. Instead, what we actually end up doing here, Xayah stays on mid alone and we clear Raptors and then we clear Krugs and Corki goes to catch this wave. Granted, Garen may have got this turret, may have, kept pushing top or something, which is worrisome. But if he did, how would they ever respond to our mid push with Baron? We're going to be infinitely faster than they are, pushing onto these turrets with Baron, and Garen is never going to be able to end because not only do we have top TP, we have Baron enhanced recall. So he's never going to get this inhib. What I'd like to see here instead of going for these camps is we need to keep our pressure with our time on Baron and force these turret downs. This is a large reason why we stalled this game out as long as we did with a massive lead. This game ends up going to 50 minutes. Both of these Barons, we got the golden XP from doing the objective, and it was a great call to do the objective, but we really didn't get anything with the buff itself, which is what my focus on here is, to keep the pressure up. So now let's go ahead and take a look at... I like to watch T1 because, in my opinion, they're the best team in the world, so why would we not watch them? So let's exit here. Pull up YouTube. And so the first videos I have, or both videos I have, are actually from the World Final last year. I know it's a little while ago, but we can see how they play it here. So they take Baron, and they decide, oh, we're all super healthy. We don't actually need to base. Even faster is they want. I want you just to see why he's TPing. Faker ends up burning his TP literally to go to this wave. Is how fast these guys want to play their pressure. That's how you can see they have their bot side camps up. They saw Aatrox's bot lane, and he has the potential to push on this turret, but they're not even worried about that. They're up with so much gold. All they want to do is force whatever they can as fast as they can, because they want to use their timer well. He tries to get a pick on Jace, which would let them push here, and he even burns his flash trying to do this look. But as we can see, even Yone based solo, but he instantly TPs back. You can see on the minimap, he instantly TPs to make sure that they have this pressure down here. They're not even worried about their own camps, their own side of the map. They're playing pressure. Another thing here is you can see the line that they have, right? If they were to send everybody at Zeus right now, we are guaranteed getting this turret and probably this inhib. And likewise, if Aatrox were to run this way, these players would back up, and Yone would get this turret for free. This is because they're obeying this kind of line rule that we were talking about. And if I draw it on the minimap, boom. They're also, as you can notice, playing 4-1. Let's continue a little bit here. We'll see what T1 actually ends up doing with it. They're so far ahead gold, but the biggest thing is they understand the pressure they need, and Zeus ends up killing mid. And this breaks the game open, and T1 end the game here. But you can see how fast they were to want to play their Baron on the waves instantly, because they knew that they could abuse some timers. Let me see if I can go back to before the Baron, maybe. But the point is that they know they're healthy, and they know that they can get on these waves as fast as possible and abuse it. Let's look at a second example, also from the World Final, from T1. This is a different case. So they end up getting the Baron, and there's a small little skirmish afterwards, mostly because they're so rich that they know that they can skirmish. Faker almost actually ends up dying up here. And we don't end up getting anything. This is fine, though. We can just back and use our Barons. But let's see how they back here. Notice how Guma ends up staying a little bit to clear this wave. But other than that, their resets all come within about 10 seconds of each other. You can see Draven resets finished. Boom. we reset as 5. This was the other option. So option 1 in the first video that I showed you was staying and playing it. Option 2 here is basing. And let's look at how quickly they are to not waste their time. Look, Nocturne's entire bot side is up. He doesn't even walk this way. The reason he doesn't walk this way, look at all this vision he has to play on, and we're ready to push now. He wants to defend this vision from Maokai, and that's what he tries to do, but instead of playing 4-1, we play 1-3-1, and so Faker isn't actually here to help contest on this vision. That's okay, though, because they know that they're strong enough with the amount of gold lead they have, and they're confident in playing. Another thing, look at this beautiful line of pressure that they have. Can you see how nobody is in front or behind it, really? So they know they're going to be getting things for this. Let's keep playing it and watch how it kind of evolves, too. Because mid can't go as far, because there's a turret. They back off. A lot of teams here would keep pushing mid, because they're like, yeah, we've got 1-3-1, guys. We can just push mid, keep the pressure, whatever. If they were to push mid, they would be here. And they would be in front of the line that their team created with pressure. They would probably die. As we can see, Weibo Gaming was preparing for this situation, right? And instead, they back off and let the plays develop in the side lanes where nobody exists right now to answer. Keep playing the video. I bet that they end up rotating bot with Faker's large wave. Or they can stay mid and go for pressure. But you can see how now that we have this kind of line of pressure, nobody's still answering Faker. We feel a lot safer using our timers to actually get these structures. I think they end up using the timer even more. We're about to push in top. Bot is pushing. And even though mid's a little bit behind, it's because we're getting vision. So now we're on the mid wave. We've rotated our bot up. And Faker's TPing in to ensure we have the time. They decide they don't want to play 4-1. They just want to dive these guys on this turret if they can, because it's going to let them end the game. As you can see, they jump this guy. Gwen is a really balanced champion when she's fed. And T1 ends up wiping them here and ending the game. So a little complex with what they did, deciding to 5 and dive instead of a 4-1. But the biggest thing I wanted to showcase is how T1 used their pressure with this Baron to actually push on the structures and end the game. They don't waste any time on these camps. They barely even waste time clearing or answering other people's split pushes because they can't. T1's applying too much pressure. They can't actually go back. And so the biggest thing I wanted to show from our scrims was how we can utilize this Baron time better and go from there. So thanks for giving this a watch if you did. Hopefully I'm going to watch it back and see if the pen and stuff and my voice recording worked properly. But I will catch you guys later. Thanks for watching.